State.
Yeah.
Never say East Bay.
Never say East Bay. That's right.
Pioneer through and through. Oh, we're started. All
Right,
right.
we're live.
So we are doing TikTok Live. Okay.
No, this is TikTok
That's
Live.
TikTok Live.
This is just regular recording that I'll post on YouTube.
That's it.
It's easier to do. It takes me forever to download TikTok.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right,
here we are.
We're here,
at
episode 20. That's a good number.
That is a good number.
Oh, wait,
20. No, we did 19.
I was still messed up on last week's number.
Episode 20 toast to that, the Grape Nest episode 20.
So episode 20.
2020.
Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely. You can toast.
We have the audience.
Live studio audience. And tonight, Andrew has brought a special guest with him.
Yes.
And I'm going to allow him to introduce her because he knows her a lot better than I do.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, take it away.
This is my sister,
Hi,
Porscha. Yeah. So I brought my sister on because my sister is super cool, super dope. And so we wanted to talk about everything that my sister does: meditation, health and wellness, astrology, life.
Life.
And let's
Everything.
introduce your sister to the TikTok crowd.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. Oh, are you itching it? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
This
hear
is
the
my
name.
sister.
I didn't hear the name once.
Porscha Jackson.
There we go.
Full name.
Porscha C.
Porscha C. Jackson.
PCJ. And you
Yes,
guys will
there
find
you
out
go.
PCJ is very important when we start talking about branding. Okay, so when we get to
Ooh.
that, we'll let her talk about that.
We have a big branding conversation. We got to talk about threads.
Yes.
Talk about threads. Instagram threads just dropped last week. So anyways, we'll get into it. And we're having our usual wine. So we have our wine. We're still rocking with it. We're going to have a featured wine tonight, but we're still doing the wine.
Wine is because that's part of what the Greatness is, and the Greatness community. Here at the Greatness, Marlena and Jovis always want to reach out to what's going on here in Richmond. And we have some incredible things going on. And among that, within the family, our co-host right here, we've already brought his best friend in. We brought his brother in a while back. We need to get his brother back with the good mics.
Oh, yeah, we need to have a good mic. For the next episode.
And now we got his sister. So why don't you, let's pull us right into it. Let's go and let's hear what the Porscha's, what she's bringing to the city of Richmond and the people of Richmond.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so you were born in Oakland. I was born in Hayward.
Well, kind of. San Lorenzo.
Yeah. San Lorenzo. Okay.
There. Yeah.
So going into your practice, so like, how did we mention meditation, mindfulness? You started off like a wellness journey, very fitness. You're really big into fitness. So how did that all come to be?
Oh man. Yeah. So I had a major health scare a few years ago, and I just did what everyone else would do, right? You go to your doctor, you talk to your doctor, they're telling you, hey, have to get on medication, do these things, X, Y, Z. And I was talking to a friend of mine who I've known for several years, and I was telling her what was going on with me, and she says, wait, I had that. I'm like, wait, keyword had, what does that mean? She's like, oh yeah, I don't have it anymore, healthy lifestyle change. So I'm asking her, like, hey, you got to give me the game. Like, tell me what you did. And I just dove in and started doing my research. And I always say that when you put something out, like in the universe, you put something out, like, you start getting those answers and you're led to where you need to be. And as soon as I talked to my friend and I said, well, what did you do? Like, that same week, 3 more people I heard had the same thing. And they're like, yeah, just healthy lifestyle change. So I said, okay, well, now I want to work in partnership with my doctor. I don't want to just take the medication, go home, and, let my health be in their hands. Like, I actually want to take control of my own health. And so that's what I started doing. I started talking to people, started doing my research, changed my diet, started working out, doing all the things I didn't want to do before because I was too busy. And then realizing, whoa, without my health, nothing else matters. Like, I need to slow down and start taking care of myself. So I started, like I said, I changed my diet. I went plant-based. Well, it was a slow transition into going plant-based. I didn't go plant-based right away. But I did start working out, and I started my mindfulness practice. I couldn't keep my mind still for 5 minutes, to meditate. So I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And I just did it, and I realized I love this work, because it's work.
Yeah.
And not only was I changing my own life, but I was getting to help other people. And that's something that I've always enjoyed doing. So my business, Wellness by PCJ, was born in a way by accident. I never thought I'd be in health and wellness. I was in PR and nonprofit work before this. And that same year, we get hit by a global health, health crisis, right? A pandemic. I feel like almost divine timing, that I find myself in wellness at a time where everyone now is paying attention to their health and community health and mindfulness, so.
Yeah.
Interesting story of how I got here, but
that's really. I don't even think I knew that, to be honest. Like I knew the wellness journey, but like the timing is like super important too. And it's like, I mean, COVID was a wake up call for everybody. It was like it wasn't, it was a pandemic, but it was just like a time to reflect and just be like, hey, look, we need to change how we're operating, like individually and like as a people, like as a community. So
absolutely, and I find it refreshing that instead of like so many people had gone into a shell, and you could have like, well, we're hunkering down, been there and just stayed there, and then fell further into the abyss that you were feeling, by just being prescribed drugs, medication, and you'll get through this, and getting those types of, not getting any actually real advice as to how to better yourself. So it came as accident, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of fell into it. I mean, well, took a global pandemic.
Nah, it's live.
Oh, it's live. No, that one's not live. This one's live. It's pointing up the ceiling.
Same thing.
It's actually pointing down at the. So anyway, born out of a pandemic, I mean, it could have very easily just collapsed on you, right? But you took it, and through advice of a few of your friends, you ran with it. And little by little, not in big steps and leaps and bounds, because like you'd say, I mean, you got to the point where you're plant-based now, right? You don't get there just, no. It just doesn't happen overnight. So what were show us that little small journey, those steps, one by one. What was the first thing you did?
Yeah. So the first thing I did was I started cutting out sugar, because I happened to read something that says, sugar inflammation. So I said, okay, so I started cutting out sugar, right? And I started changing, small things out of my diet. I initially went pescatarian before going plant-based, because I love seafood, and I said, okay, I don't know if I'm ready to jump, full in on plant-based, so I decided to go pescatarian, and I just started eliminating things out of my diet. And when you're in pain every day, it's a lot easier to say, I'm not going to eat this if it's going to give me a chance to feel better. So that transition was pretty easy. And it took maybe about a year for me to go full plant-based. I just kept doing my research, kept talking to people. I started following plant-based chefs on IG, social media, finding recipes, making it fun, because my diet was very boring when I started this. It was salad. It was like, okay, I gotta eat more than, salad and rice and beans. I gotta, find something else. So I started following folks. And then I started working out. So maybe about 3 months, and I lost in this time frame maybe about 20 pounds, just changing my diet. Once I was well enough. Yeah, for about 3 months, right? Yeah. So it started in January. By March, I'm now, well enough to go work out. So I start working out. As I'm doing that, I'm like, okay, I feel better, I keep hearing about this meditation thing, right? Which I tried, and it's like, okay, monkey mind, I can't turn the thoughts off. Yeah. I can't turn the thoughts off. So I started meditating, I started becoming intentional about my interactions with other people,
Mm-hmm.
what I was listening to, what I was watching, who I'm hanging around. And next thing you know, I realized like I'm really changing my whole life. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not just diet and nutrition anymore. It's really all of who I am.
Yeah.
That's starting to change. And like I said, it was a slow process, but I started to fall in love with that process because once you see like that first win, you're like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
now I want the second one.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I want the third one, right? And you just keep going for more wins. So like I said, it started off just slow, just making, very slow
Little
changes.
victories.
Right.
Little
That you
victories.
notice.
Yeah.
Little, it's just not, I don't want to say victories, but changes that you notice,
Mhm.
let's say.
Mhm.
Yeah. Stepping stones in a way.
Yeah.
I was
Growth.
gonna say, trying to find vegetarian food out to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. All right. So on this little journey that
Mhm.
you're going on, I'm trying. I'm always interested in trying to find this out because when you're making the transition and you're into a mindfulness based kind of way of life,
Mhm.
when did you find out that you had actually become non-judgmental?
Mm.
Oh, when did I find that out?
Yes, and how?
And you mean non-judgmental of others,
Of
or
others,
okay?
of everything you see. I mean, because we go
Or
around
food.
life, and I mean, we go, and
Yeah.
I'd be walking down the street, and I look over, I look out there, and I go, oh, look at that old guy, and I bet he, and I'm telling a story,
Yeah.
but to not, or that guy just ran that stoplight, or stop sign. I mean, what the heck is that idiot doing? I mean, here I am projecting. I don't know that his wife may be in labor right now. I don't know the story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for me, so I went to therapy. So this is another part of this journey, right? I went to therapy during the pandemic. I happened to get a scholarship for women of color for 12 weeks of therapy. And somewhere around like week 6 or 7, I'm talking about all these things that have happened in my life, and I realized, maybe these folks aren't that bad. I'm talking about old friends who I used to hang out with, people, um, who I felt had done me wrong, and just kind of venting initially. And I realized, these folks are also human. They're going through
Mm-hmm.
their struggles and their things. And as I started to kind of do my homework from therapy, right, and I start to evaluate my own life, I'm like, okay, I'm not perfect, so I
Mm-hmm.
can't judge other people for what they're doing. Um, and with that and practicing that mindfulness and talking to people and letting that empath in me kind of come out, right? Realizing it's hard to be judgy in wellness because we're all kind of going through our thing.
Right. Yeah.
I think therapy was the turning point for me, where a lot of things kind of turned off, right? Even certain songs that I used to like, and I'm like, wow, this song is just like really judgy. They're kind of telling
Yeah.
I like it, but
what is it really saying? But
what
then,
is it really
when
saying,
you're judging,
right?
it's more of a judgment of yourself, I think, because of what
Yeah.
you've been listening to in the past,
Mhm.
rather than judging the artist, because
Mhm.
the artist is still just making,
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But to the previous point, it's like having a self acceptance. It becomes
Yeah.
easier to accept other people
Mhm.
for like who they are. You kind of just realize, like you're saying, that everyone's going through something at
Yeah.
some level. So
Mhm.
come from a point of like understanding versus coming from
Yeah.
a point of like judgment.
And then I realized, me judging others, there was something about my own life that I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
happy about.
Right.
Right.
That's good
Yeah.
insight.
So
Great
that's why
insight.
I'm like judging other
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
Because when you're truly happy and content in yourself and who you are, like why do you need to judge anyone else for
Right.
what they're doing, right?
Yeah. It's like the idea
So-
that like hurt people hurt
people.
people.
Right.
If you're hurt, you're gonna hurt someone else because
Mhm.
you feel hurt.
Yep.
And the problem is you don't I mean, you might not understand, why you might be hurting
Yeah.
someone else, but it's just kind of like it's like instinct, unfortunately. But once you use meditation to go in and reflect, it becomes like easier to like really see and understand like where that pain is coming from.
Exactly.
It's super important.
Self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Self-reflection.
Absolutely. Well, when you bring up meditation, I'd like to ask, kind of ask the question of the both of you.
Yeah.
First time you sat and tried to sit, and you talked about the monkey mind earlier. We all have it as a beginner.
Yep.
As a beginner, you have that because if you sit quiet, try to listen to the breath, do whatever, count the breath, feel it in and out, the belly expanding, the belly falling, chest expanding, chest falling. You do everything you can, but then, shit, I got a doctor's appointment in a week. Or all that stuff goes on. How much practice does it take on a meditative basis to sit every day and be able to quiet that mind, even if it's for one half breath?
Right.
If you could do it even just one in breath, maybe one out breath, or if you get to the point where you're between breaths and there's that brief time where you rest, if your mind is quiet, that's satisfaction.
Right.
So how long, did you guys, how long do you have to sit before you can get, because just an analogy. I could play a round of golf and I could play horrible, but I'll hit one ball.
Right.
One ball.
Right.
That will make me want to come back and play again. Just hit it on the screws and drop it close to the pin. I'm like, that's it. And that's kind of the way meditation starts, right?
Yeah.
Right? Now, what are your experiences with that?
So for me, it was, like I said, challenging because of the monkey mind. But what I started doing was just practicing mindfulness throughout my day. And I would realize or try to recognize the times where I was doing something but thinking about something else, right? And then I would say, okay, redirect your thought back to whatever it is that you're doing, right? Or sometimes if I'm having a conversation, I realize, oh, my mind's drifting off. Someone's talking, but I'm thinking about something else.
Right.
Bring it back. So what I teach my students, the students who I work with, I tell them it's okay if your mind drifts. That's not the point. We don't want to say your mind will never drift. It's to be able to quickly recognize when it does and to bring your attention back. You acknowledge the thought, thank you for coming, and then you bring yourself back to the present moment.
Right.
So I did that a lot before I started sitting down and meditating, because that made it a lot easier. Once I sat down and I'm like, okay, now I'm meditating, right?
Right.
It was easier for me to recognize when my mind would drift. Okay, thank you, thought, for coming. Now bring my attention back to that grounding energy. So that's what helped me to get into a practice of being able to meditate longer. So it was never really me sitting there saying, okay, well, I have 1 minute. Okay, now I could do 2 minutes, now I could do 3. It was every day throughout my day, making it a habit to realize when I'm, not focused, right? When I'm not in that present moment. Bring it back.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting way to go about it. I think in my first experience with at least trying to meditate was in high school, because I thought I was gonna levitate. So I just that would be really cool.
Oh
yeah. that was really my thought. I was gonna start levitating if I do this. That would be sick. But it wasn't until later. I actually learned meditation through an entrepreneurship class, Fine Media with Donna. Yes, yeah, and that was a turning point.
So you were like,
right, yeah.
I'm gonna levitate.
Right.
That's what the marijuana's for.
That's the yeah. So I came about meditation through psychology. Actually, that was my process.
Okay, that's one of my other teachers. All right,
yeah. So I came about it through psychology, learning about belief systems, and learning about looking inward, and it's really deep. Psychology is so deep, and it's in everything.
Yeah.
Psychology is in everything that we do. So learning that how we were raised, and what was our perception of love when we were kids, or maybe when I was in elementary school, maybe I was picked on or something like that, and how that builds upon how we grow up and
Mhm.
we form these beliefs and about who we are as a
Yep.
person. And so it's just like learning how to let go of those like limiting thoughts.
Yep.
And so being able to sit down and meditate and just, for me, it wasn't, meditation wasn't about like clearing my mind, but more so experiencing what I was feeling and like asking myself, is this true? Like, is this actually true what I'm thinking?
Mm.
And like actually like just feeling it. And then in psychology and also in meditation, there's this thing, dang, I'm forgetting the name right now, but you're pretty much reframing that thought. What is it? I think it's called reframing, actually.
Reframing.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
reframing.
reframing.
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
called reframing. So, yeah, being able to sit down and just reframe something and really go deeper into the layers and understanding, like you're saying, like someone might do something to you, but it might not be because of you. It might be because of them, you know. And having that understanding that, okay, I don't have to take this personally. You know, I can sit down, meditate, practice forgiveness, and just completely let it go.
Yeah.
So,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Mhm.
So interesting. The analogy you were saying, bringing it back, bringing it back. I felt everything that, early on in meditation, and one of my teachers that is near and dear to my heart, and who I still volunteer. Well, I haven't volunteered since pre-pandemic. Jack Hornfield. His analogy would be, your mind is, just think of it as like a little puppy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And your puppy like needs to, you're trying to potty train it, and it goes off the paper. Every time that walks off the paper, you bring the puppy back to the paper. Okay,
Yeah.
you can pee now,
Mhm.
right? And it drifts. You bring it back, and
Mhm.
that was his kind of analogy to do it. Bring it back. Just
Right.
keep bringing it
Yeah.
back. And when you realize that, that your mind is drifting, that moment of realization is the moment of mindfulness. And when they start to occur in multiple times during a session, you'll get to a point one time and you'll sit down and you'll just be in the zone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you get that, and
It's
you
the
know,
best feeling.
but you don't even know it until it's over.
Right.
Like if you set a timer, right, with 20 minutes or what, I don't know how long or often you do your meditation, but when all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow,
Right.
Yes.
it's like freedom.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you're yeah, like that whole, what was it you were saying, the realization when you're talking about the psychology of
Yeah,
it,
the
feeling.
psychology.
One of my another teacher, he's right here in Santa Fe, Rick Hansen, I told you, author of The Buddha's Brain.
Right.
When I started realizing what is going on when I'm meditating,
Mm-hmm.
and all the chemical processes that
Yes.
happen in the brain and actually heal me, actually make me feel good when serotonin is released.
Oh, yeah.
These types of things that happen, they are self-healing. And when I talk about self-healing, you're trying to teach these people that. So let's go to that. I want to segue into that. You're actually teaching people this now. So you went through an experience. You made yourself better, and you're on that journey.
Yes.
It's never ending. Okay, I'm not going to say you're done with it, but you found another avenue, and you're teaching it to other people. So that one in itself must be rewarding. But two, what happens? Well, it's gonna be rewarding, I'm guessing, when you see somebody make a breakthrough.
Oh, I love it, especially with my students. I work with young adults right now,
That
and sometimes it's hard to get them to break away from their phones, right? They're always on their phones, they're on TikTok, they're doing whatever, they have whatever issues you would have as a young 21-year-old in college, right? And when I when they come to me and they tell me, "Oh, I meditated on my own and this is the experience I had," or, "I practiced mindfulness and this is what I did today." It's so rewarding because we're in an era where everything is fast paced. Everything is at our fingertips. We're processing. I heard something like 6,000 thoughts a day. I haven't done my research to know if that's true, but that's something I saw on social media, so it must be true.
Yeah.
So we're processing all
No,
this.
no, no. No, we stop you right there.
Fake
It's on
news.
social media.
It's fake news.
Unless it's by the Midas touch.
It was on TikTok.
Oh, is it on the
yeah,
onion?
that must be true. Yeah, okay. So yeah, if it's
Yeah.
technically, yeah, let's not mislead our audience.
No,
Yeah,
that was
sorry.
totally a joke. Trust me. But
Wow.
yeah, so we're processing all this information just all day throughout the day. And when I have someone, a client or a student come to me and they say, I've been practicing mindfulness, I've noticed, changes in the way that I feel, my interactions with people are starting to improve, there's things that I'm noticing that I didn't even notice before. It's such a rewarding just feeling for me to see that kind of joy in them, because a lot of times we feel like we have to be doing something. We have to be busy. We have to be on the go. We have to, but if one thing the pandemic taught us was to slow down. That was a time where everything was,
needed to slow down.
to slow down. And I'm actually seeing that a lot of people now are sticking with it. They're like, no, I'm not gonna, be out and stressing myself out and having all these worries and a million things on my plate. But then there are some people who are kind of jumping right back into it. So when I talk to my clients and my students, and they're practicing mindfulness and they're taking that time to be intentional, about their thoughts, their interactions with other people, I notice a lot of them come to me and they're like, I feel better. Maybe they have some, thing going on either mentally or physically, and they're saying, oh, I feel better. My relationships are improving. So it's just a very rewarding, and fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
To be a part of that.
Yeah, I think like once you really get into like meditation, it's like having a superpower. It's like a third eye where you just like you tap into something that we all have it. We're just not taught how to tap into it for the most part. So
Everybody.
oh yeah, everybody has it. Yeah.
Like everybody has that ability to have gratitude and express sympathy and empathy, but not everybody has the ability to pull it out. So it's like the Buddha's heart.
Right.
Everybody has it. So you just have to find it.
Right.
What I'd be interested, I heard you talking about students. That is one of my favorite subjects, the kids. Okay, so let's talk about how when you say students, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I have my business, Wellness by PCJ, but I also work with young adults with autism. And so one of my jobs is to lead them in these mindfulness practices. So I lead mindful yoga, I lead mindful meditation, as well as like nutrition, coaching, healthy cooking, because what we're eating, right, what we're listening to, what we're drinking, who we're interacting with, all has a part in mindfulness, and how our overall well-being is being affected. So with my students, I lead 2 meditation classes a week with them. And some of the things that I do is I go over different types of meditation, right? Because we all think meditation is just sitting, on a yoga mat, in our lotus pose, right?
Levitating.
Right, but that's not always the case. There are times where I'm driving in my car, I may pull over, getting ready to get out to go to work or wherever else, and I take 5 minutes to just ground my energy, right? I take them on walking meditations. We have meditations where they're actually kind of partnered with someone, and maybe there's something that I want them to meditate on or take a moment to think about something in your day that was stressful, and imagine that leaving your body, or maybe share that experience with your partner, right? So I do different activities with my students. One, because they do have autism, so I want to give them kind of a variety of different things that they can do that may keep their attention. But then also to help them find their own practice, because your practice is going to be different from your practice, which may be different from my practice,
Which
right?
is definitely different for somebody who has autism because their mind is so different and complex versus ours,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that almost we couldn't understand it.
Right.
I love the way you're talking about mindful movement. Mindful walking is
Yeah.
one where you actually feel the body,
Yeah.
every move, every step. When you do that, you realize that you're actually activating all the earth, wind, fire, and water.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
With the movements and
Yeah.
the steps and as you touch the ground, touch the earth, the water is activated underneath your feet. But as you move, the wind is activated, and as you're moving through the wind, fire is activated. It's
Right.
just it is.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
Thich Nhat Hanh, he's my boy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something right now. The autistic these are your students, so that's part of the the whole movement. I mean, besides your personal clients and PCJ.
Wellness by PCJ.
Wellness by PCJ. I'm
Wellness
sorry,
by
we got to brand
PCJ.
this right. Wellness by PCJ.
Uh-huh.
It works with autistic clients.
So my business, I don't work with autistic clients, but
Oh,
with
that's
my
your student.
yeah, my
Okay, so how do you outreach to that? Are you part of a program?
Yes, so I'm a part of a program right now. It's called College Internship Program. We work with young adults who have autism. They're all college age students, 18 to 24-ish. We have some students who are a little older, but they're all just like, college students,
Okay.
first time away from home, most of them. We have students who have been in the program for several years. They're getting ready to graduate from the program. We actually just had our commencement ceremony. So I have about, I want to say 30 students roughly who I work with across different modalities of wellness. Some are in my meditation classes and they're all signing up, so this is not forced on them. It's whatever they want to sign up for, just like any other college program. So by day, I'm working with my students, and then on weekends and evenings is when I'm working with my personal clients. And I'm getting ready to transition into doing more work for my personal clients. But with my students, I come in, like I said, lead these meditation modules, lead the yoga modules, and it really helps them find that balance, especially as a college student, first time away from home, some of them, to be able to find the balance between I'm away from home, I want to do the college thing, but I also have autism. And it helps them to kind of regulate those emotions so that they have an easier time in the program.
So these students of yours, they're kind of seasoned in the mindfulness world as autistic students, and you are there as part of the practice.
Exactly.
Okay, wow, that's support. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that perhaps that you were working with younger students, and perhaps maybe you were doing finger breathing, where because this is something I would teach my autistic nephew.
Yeah.
Breathe in, breathe out. And it's a tactical thing where they could feel, right? And allows them to concentrate on something and keep their mind focused even if it's for a brief period of time.
Right.
But what you're doing, you're helping the ones that have successfully and just keep this just reminder. You're bringing the puppy back.
It's
not quite like that, but bringing it back. That is amazing. I'm so happy to have met you, Porscha.
Thank you.
And Andrew, my goodness, you hit the home run here. and yeah, exactly. And I'm also happy to have met this young man here as well, because his journey, kind of mimics, I've been there, right? I've done this whole thing. I've had life tragedy and a horrible lifestyle, right? And I didn't say your lifestyle's horrible, but that's what caused me to find mindfulness. And teachers like John Kabat-Zinn, and his son is my savior, is Will Kabat-Zinn. He practices right here in Berkeley. And people like Jack Kornfield and Rick Hansen that are so close, they're here. And if you reach out to them, like I would say if I reached out to you in this community, they're so accepting. They're going to bring you in and find a way to make things happen.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about the community.
Right.